Our next speaker I'm happy to introduce is Jenn Donahue. She's a civil engineer and a U.S. Navy captain who runs J.L. Donahue Engineering and lectures at UC Berkeley and UCLA. Welcome.
What if all our preconceived notions about what makes a great leader might not actually be true? We're going to do a quick exercise. I want each of you to think of the leader that you most want to emulate. Who is that leader above all other leaders that you would want to follow to the ends of the earth? Do you have that person in your mind? Now, I want you to think of the 3 traits that really embody that leader. What are those 3 traits that set them apart from any other leader that you've ever known? Now, I've been asking this question for the last 3 years across all demographics: boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, Gen Z, conferences, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I've been asking the same question. And the answers that I got are quite astounding. Now the words, did it come up? There it is. Now the words that are the largest are the ones that get the most hits. Leads by example, decisive, inspiring. Now when I first started this exercise, I started asking a very different question. And I asked, think of a leader in history and what were their traits? And the answers that I were getting were big and bold and fearless. But where are big, bold, and fearless on this list? They're pretty small, aren't they? And what that tells me is that people aren't really looking to follow big, bold, and fearless leaders. They're looking to follow leaders that lead by example. They maybe have a sense of humor. That's who people are looking for in a leader. And so as you're on your leadership journey, I want you to think about, when you want to become a leader, are you trying to become big, bold, and fearless? Or are you going to look at your own strengths to understand what are you good at? Now, why is this important? 80% of employers think that their employees leave their company because they want more money. When in actuality, it's quite different. Only 20% of employees actually leave a company because they want more money. So what are the other 80% doing? Why are they leaving? They're leaving for the hope. They're leaving for the hope that they're going to go be better managed, that they're going to go to a better work environment, that they're going to be in a trusting business relationship. That's why they're leaving. Now, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics have been keeping all kinds of data for the last decades. And over the last 10 or so years, about 2 to 2.5% of the entire United States quits their job. 2 to 2.5%. Now, we all know that 2020, that was quite a different year. In April, that number plunged, and it was down at about 1 to 1.5, because people were scared. We were right at the beginning of a global pandemic. It was an economic crisis, and people were scared, and they didn't want to quit their job. And so they didn't quit. But by the end of 2020, it was quite something different. That quit rate had gone up to on par and above what it had in the last 7 years. People were quitting their job. I know my best friend did. She was tired of it. She had a boss that didn't support her. There was this absolutely toxic environment that she worked in that the boss just didn't do anything with, and he just let it fester like a cancer. And she finally said, you know what, I've had it, I'm quitting. She was part of that group in 2020 that left. But what's even more astounding is in 2021, in April, that number skyrocketed. Folks, we are in the middle of a mass migration of people. They're calling it the Great Resignation. People are quitting their job in droves. So what does that mean for you and your corporation? That means you might lose someone with some high technical ability. It's going to leave a hole in your organization, and everybody else is going to have to take up that slack. You're going to have to go out and you're going to have to hire. You're going to have to onboard. You're going to have to get them up to speed. That's time and that's money. But how do we become better managers and better leaders so that our people don't leave us? And it all starts here. Does anybody know what this means? I know it's all Greek to me. It means to know thyself. So this was written in 1400 BC. It was one of the Delphic maxims that was written on the Temple of Apollo. Now, this is the first time we've seen it written in history. And what that tells me is that if it was old enough for those old guys back then, it's definitely relevant today. It has to start with us. And so I call it my 3 Bs. The number 1 is to be self-aware. And you heard a little bit about that earlier today. Now, I will tell you, I was the biggest skeptic of those online exams. Myers-Briggs, Clifton-Strang's, the DISC assessments. There is no way that those are going to tell me anything about who I am. I'm an individual. I know who I am. Boy, was I wrong. Yeah, I knew my strengths, and yeah, I kind of knew my weaknesses. But one of the things that it brought to the forefront of my conscience was how I'm perceived by others with those actions. I know that whenever I'm stressed, man, I am laser focused. And that means that I'm reliable and I get things done on time and on budget. But at the same time, I block out everyone and everything else around me. And as a leader, is that really what you want? Do you want to shut out everybody else because you're stressed? That's something that I have to work on. So, be self-aware. Number 2, be proficient. As the leader, you don't have to know everything, but you have to know what you don't know. So I urge you, read an article every day. Either it's professional or it's personal. Next, be yourself. As a leader, if you are trying to be someone that you're not, you're going to be very uncomfortable in doing so. It's exhausting. People are going to see right through you, and you're going to lose all credibility. You have to be yourself. And so with that, tomorrow morning, when you get up and you're sitting over your cup of coffee, I want you to think of your strengths. And are they on this list? Hone in on those strengths, because this is what people are looking to follow. Be that leader. Thank you.